Hi, good morning, everyone, and happy Tuesday. I'm really not sure what I'm gonna want to say this morning, but I had to get something off my chest and things that are bothering me, but I hadn't prepared anything, so I don't know how this is going to go. First of all, I'd like to state that this doesn't represent any organization or any place that I work or represent. It just represents my views and my opinions only. I'm really bothered by the political climate right now, for a lot of reasons, but there's some things I just don't understand. And so I've just been trying to think about things, and Bella's gonna join me. um, and trying to put some things together and understand what is going on. I understand I understand conservatives. I don't always agree with, well, I usually don't agree with conservatives. I get along with conservatives, and I have conservative and Republicans, family and friends. It's fine. And they had their viewpoints. I have my viewpoints. We can talk, we can discuss things. That's no problem. I don't understand the Trump thing though. And I'm really having a hard time with it. I grew up in a very Christian home, and Baptist denomination. And I remember going to church when I was young, and we went to church every single Sunday. We didn't miss when I was young. Not as good at that as I was then, but I was made to go then, and so I learned things though, which was good. And we had this very, for Baptist, I would call him a pretty liberal pastor. He was friendly, he was nice, he loved everyone. There was not a discriminatory bone in his body, I don't think. He was just, I guess it was a different type of Baptist than what most people think of as Baptist, and maybe because it was in Louisiana, I don't know. But I mean, we had dances, church sponsored dances, and people did have alcohol from time to time, even though they may not talk about it, but they did. And nothing bad was thought of any of that stuff. But as long as you were good to other people, and of course, the meaning of Christianity was to believe in Christ, and that He came to save us from our sins. So that was the main message. But there was a general way that Christians behaved and acted, and all of that was part of it. And it was treating other people with dignity and love, and it was a lot of most of the lessons that I learned from that pastor and from my family and friends was love one another, love everyone, and no one is above anyone else. So I'm having a hard time putting that together with where Republicans went down this route with Trump, because I understood George Bush, I understood Reagan, I understood, and didn't always agree with George Bush Jr. and a lot of them. And we may have different views on economic, what should be done economically, which we are, I mean, if you look at the charts, it's off the chart with job creation and everything right now, and the economy is improving. And even though inflation is high, we have handled that better after the pandemic than anybody, any other first world country. Um, but even that, I mean, even if you didn't like Biden, or didn't like his age, which Trump's 2 years younger, I mean, come on, they're the same age basically. But even besides all that, it's just the support for Trump that I don't understand. That's not conservative. He spouts off a lot of conservative things. Um, this is a man that has been indicted multiple times. Was it 98 indictments? And he's been convicted of business fraud. He's bankrupted companies. He bankrupted a casino. A casino. You can't bankrupt a casino. So it all just kind of confuses me. And he's hateful. And maybe you're not hearing it. Maybe my friends and family, who I love dearly, maybe they're not hearing his comments. Maybe they're not hearing when he states that he would be a dictator on day one. Or maybe they think, oh, that's just Trump talking. Or calling people that are crossing the borders animals. I mean, I'm all for reforming our immigration policies. And but in a way that well, treating people as humans, not animals. And people crossing the border every day for work that a lot of people in America don't want to do. I mean, it amazes me. But yes, there is an immigration problem, and yes, we do need to make sure that things are better. But it is improving, if you've noticed. And the Democrats and Biden came up with a deal with the most conservative Republicans there were, and or are just a few months ago. Came up with a deal for immigration reform, but then Trump tells Mike Johnson, the speaker, to not even bring it to the floor because it would help Biden get reelected if he did something about immigration. And there were things in that immigration bill that I didn't like. So I wasn't horrified that it didn't get brought to the floor, but then they're complaining about it, nothing being done about it. I don't get that. But the main thing I don't get is how someone that cheated on his wife while she was pregnant with Barron. He cheated on Melania while she was pregnant with Barron. That was the Stormy Daniels thing. He has raped someone, and even though there's no criminal conviction of that, there's certainly a civil lawsuit of him talking about that person and her claims and her winning millions of dollars. No one's persecuting Trump for anything that he hasn't done. So I don't get this. I don't get how he represents Christianity. He doesn't represent the Christianity I grew up with. So, I'm all for, and maybe I'm just misunderstanding everything, and I think maybe some people just don't hear what he says because Fox News isn't going to play it. And so if that's all you watch, you're not going to hear his real comments. You're going to hear a watered down version of his comments. But I'm for treating all people with dignity. I'm for people's rights. I mean, there was a big thing on Easter Sunday that everybody was saying, well, Biden made that, made Easter Sunday also a trans awareness day. Well, that, first of all, that doesn't offend me at all that was on Easter, but he didn't make that day on Easter. That day has been on that day of the year for years now, for Trans Awareness Day. It just happened to fall, Easter happened to fall on that day this year. That was it. That's all. But people make a huge deal of it. I don't get it. The Democrats and the liberal Democrats that I know, they just care about helping other people. And I mean, in the Bible, if you're, a very strictly religious Christian person, it's love thy neighbor. It's not calling them animals, and it's certainly not the hateful rhetoric he talks about other people. He talks about women in that way. He talks about, anybody that's foreign coming from, and you have to take this into account. He doesn't talk about people coming and immigrating from European countries. That seems to be okay. He even married one. He talks about people immigrating from Latin countries. So you've got to understand that when you hear about immigration, and people say, well, why is everybody coming from Mexico? People aren't coming from Mexico. In fact, I think the latest statistics that I saw, more people from the United States are moving to Mexico than moving from Mexico. The people that you see coming across the borders are from further down South America, and where there's a lot of political turmoil, and some of them are escaping just horrors of living in some places. So, and we've always allowed those people to come in with sanctuary, with our sanctuary laws. So yeah, it's an issue. There's so many, and we have to process so many. But I would say putting money into helping have more judges and helping have more attorneys to represent them, and facilities that they can go to that are nice and not inhumane, would be the best way to address this, is through our court system and getting people through the system quicker. I'm all for immigration. I mean, gosh, that's wonderful. That's what our country's built on. So there's just so many things. I mean, right now he starts his criminal court case this week, and everybody said, well, this is just him being prosecuted and Biden doing something. Listen, Biden has nothing to do with Trump paying off someone and using fund. It was to pay off in order not to be seen for the election, the 2016 election. New York brought that case against Trump, rightfully so. It's misuse of funds. So and campaign violations. So that's what this is about. The criminal case is about. And yes, it was hush money to a porn star that he was having an affair with while Melania was pregnant with Barron. I don't get it. I'm just in shock that my friends and family could support someone like this. He's all for stop and frisk. That's so discriminatory. There's so many things that he says, and I guess people excuse him and say, well, he's not a politician, he's a businessman. Well, he's been gone back for, was it 3 times now? He's not a very good businessman, but even if it was just a businessman, we do have to hold him accountable to what he says. Isn't Maya Angelou that says, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time? Yeah, that's it. Believe him the first time. This is a 3-time divorced man that has never read a Bible verse. Come on. Unless he just recited one and called it 2 Corinthians or whatever he stated that time instead of second. He doesn't know the Bible. Okay. He's not a Christian. Maybe he's pushing forward some of the Christian agenda. And I think a lot of Christians feel like they're being persecuted because they're not allowed to force their religion on other people. There's a difference being able to practice your religion and being able to force that on others. And if you stop and think about it, no one's stopping you from practicing your religion. I mean, it's just like, I've talked about this before, just like saying Merry Christmas to people. You can say Merry Christmas to people. It's not going to be that offensive. A lot of businesses and schools and everything say happy holidays instead. And the reason is that we want to respect other people's religions as well, which I believe is what Jesus would do. And maybe you believe that, forgive people, and yes, I'm all for forgiveness and forgive Trump for what he's done in the past. And we know that he's done it in the past. I'm all for forgiveness, but not when the person's still being hateful and still saying horrible things. That's not asking for forgiveness. I don't think he's ever asked for forgiveness. So if you are just forgiving him, maybe you're looking past some of these things. Maybe it's because you don't believe one of the biggest agenda items that used to be, was the abortion rights and pro-choice versus anti-choice. And I think that, I have no right to speak about any of that because that is up to the woman. And I'm not a woman and I don't have a right to talk about it. But I believe that I trust women and their doctor. And when you have some of these laws, like the one in Arizona that was passed, that is from the 1800s before women could even vote, it's one they invoked and the Supreme Court held. That's just barbaric to me. A 10-year-old girl could get raped, but she has to carry the baby to term. Or if a woman's health is in danger, one thing that law states is that unless the woman's health is in danger, that there could be an exception. Could you imagine your health being in danger? You finding out you're pregnant at 20 weeks, let's say. A lot of people say, well, there should be a 12-week, after 12 weeks or after 16 weeks. But let's say your life is in danger or the baby is going to be stillborn and they know it, the baby's already dead. And you're carrying the baby. And having to go before a court to figure out and the doctor can't deliver emergency care to you, or making a 12 or 13-year-old child carry a baby through incest or rape. I don't get it. My gosh. We were doing fine with Roe versus Wade when it was upheld. And I think that people were responsible with that. And no one that I know wants to kill a baby. That's just unthinkable. But that's an embryo. It's not a baby yet. And there can be a huge debate on when life begins. Anyway, I'm getting way off topic into the abortion issue. I didn't need to do that. Those are the type of differences between conservatives and liberals that were normal differences. Now we're talking about someone that lied about winning the 2020 election and actually has people believing that Trump won the 2020 election. He did not win. There were multiple court cases. Um, there were like, I forgot how many now, and I'm not saying number because I'm probably wrong on that on how many there were, but there were multiple, much more than when Bush versus Gore, which just hundreds of votes separated them, and they took it to court, and then they abided by that. Not this one. Every court is thrown out. There was not fraud in that election. In fact, the most fraud that they've caught as they've done the review were people voting Republican. It was just the opposite. There was no fraud. Then there was an insurrection. And people say, well, Biden's persecuting him because of the insurrection. No, Biden had nothing to do with charging Trump for anything. That was the AG's decision. And that office is separate, even though Trump did treat that as his personal, or tried to treat that as his personal attorney. The attorney general is not supposed to be representing the president. They're supposed to be representing the country. So now there's hatred against our FBI. There's division being sown every day. And I believe he's part of that and what he's caused. I could say so much more. But then we get into the liberal versus conservative, and I don't want to get into all that because I love all of you. I love my family. I love my friends. No matter what they believe, as far as being conservative or liberal, even on social issues, even if they're against gay people or gay marriage or against persons that are trans, which I understand people that are trans. I support them. But our immigration laws and being hateful toward people, even if we disagree with just about everything, I still can't see how Trump represents Christianity. And that's the people that I guess I'm talking to here. I believe other religions have a right to be there too, but the people in my family and all my friends have the same faith that I do. I'm all for helping others. I'm all for giving people a hand when they need it. And I believe our government should be supporting our individual rights as citizens. And we should never have a president that I can't tell my young child, which I don't have any young children anymore. They're grown, but that I wouldn't like for them to look at as an example of their moral abilities and just their morality. I don't want my child hearing the language that Trump uses and the cursing and the just hateful rhetoric toward other people. It's horrible to me. So I mean, he's told law enforcement to use more force. They're not using enough force. He's said that we should be shooting people as they cross the border. He on the Black Lives Matter protest in Washington, D.C., he was talking about, shoot them, stop, and I'm not for violent protests, but that was not a violent protest. That was a peaceful protest. January 6th insurrection was not a peaceful protest, no matter what some congressmen and senators would like to tell you now. It was not peaceful, and they were running for their lives. If it hadn't been for Nancy Pelosi and Mike Pence working together, it might have gone on even further. Yes, she called Mike Pence, and they took over while Trump watched on TV and cheered them on. So I don't get it. It's like a corrupt mafia crime family, and trying to run for president, and people believe in them. I love you. I love you all. And I don't mean any harm by saying any of this. It's my opinion. If you have a different opinion, please talk about it on your Facebook page or post about it, whatever you want to do. Don't do it on this thread. I don't like arguments on my Facebook page. If you disagree with me, just simply keep scrolling or even state, I disagree, it's fine. I don't care if you put that or not. I'm not going to look at that. If you agree with me, put a heart though. But anybody that agrees with me, because I'm beginning to feel like, except for some of my close friends, that I'm in some type of losing battle here and where I live. in East Texas and some people even in North Louisiana, that they are believing something that I don't get anymore, I don't understand it anymore. Um, so if you do understand it, post something, not here on your page. I won't comment, I promise. I respect your page if you respect mine. And I just had to kind of get some of this off my chest. It's just a little thing. It's after work. I'm tired. My eyes are red. I've been working, staring at the computer all day. I want to end this by again emphasizing how much I love all of you. I hope that you're doing the right thing and standing up for other people's rights. I hope that you're living in the values that you taught me when I was young. And I'm not talking about my parents. I'm really not. They love everyone. I'm talking about some of my friends and extended family that I love so much. I hope you're living by what you taught and what I learned from watching so many people growing up. So when I was little, anyway, I love you all. Please have a great day. And I'm going to go and relax now because it is 5:30. I'm ready to kick back because I'm tired. It was a Monday. It was a busy Monday. Love you all. Talk to you soon. Hope this didn't upset anybody. Okay. Bye-bye.